Welcome to Straight No Chaser. So grab a glass and join your hosts, your girl MBZ, Thin Bad, and the Chief.
And we got, who else we got today? We got anybody else in here today, Chief?
It's just us boys here today.
If you hear any noise, it's just me and the boys. You hear it again. But speaking of what's making noise now, unless you've been under, you have had to have heard of all the ridiculousness. You've probably seen the videos with regard to what's going over there in Phoenix with the police department in Phoenix. The way they really aggressively, over the top, that come to mind immediately that I can say on the air without offending some people during this hour. But some craziness with the police department there, with the way their officers handled a situation regarding a child and a family and a pregnant mother, and then at the same time across the coast, all the way clear across the country and back in my hometown of Baltimore, or our home Baltimore, you've got a police officer who was arrested for lying, for lying and holding someone, arresting someone, telling them they didn't, saying that he felt like he was, the guy was combative. All the while, this officer had on a body camera. So, it got to the point where he's like, yo, do you want to believe me or your lying eyes? Now, you got a video camera that's showing clear differences to everything that this officer had been saying. And we got some audio of that. Chief, you want to roll the audio?
Yes, sir.
The police body camera video shows a man walking by Sergeant Ethan Newberg as he conducted a warrant check. The man said something about harassment and placing the suspect on a wet sidewalk.
Why don't you mind your business? You got him? You got him? Sir, get off me, sir. Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Man, you better get on the ground! Put your hand behind your back. Sir, I can't. Put your hand behind your back. There you go. Just put it back. I can't do nothing, yo. Y'all can't you test me before I didn't do nothing to you. Freedom of speech. He's under arrest, yes. For what? For what? What am I under arrest? Just go to jail. Take your charge like a man. For what? Take your charge. What am I going to jail for? Because you don't know how to act.
Other officers are now on the scene. One tries to calm Sergeant Newberg.
Don't ever interfere. What did you say? I didn't hear you. Just leave my scene. Go. Leave. Then don't talk. Leave. Then don't you ever tell me how to do my job.
Wow. Chief, you're gonna be all over this one, I know, but I'm trying to. Sometimes I try to defer, and but certain times things are just so obvious. We question everything as it is already as it comes to police. So that's the questions that we're raising today. This community, the relationship between the community and the police department. Is it getting better or worse? That's. I'm sure there are some places where policing is going well. I know that there are police officers, so many out there that are doing a great job and doing what they're supposed to do. But then when you have these folks like this, when you see situations like what's going on with in Phoenix and what's happening in Baltimore, although this officer was charged, thank goodness, and arrested, and I guess he's what he was charged with, second-degree assault and misconduct and false imprisonment, for attacking a man who did nothing wrong. I mean, on the one hand, you want to think things are getting better, and maybe we can say things are getting better because justice is at least being carried out. However, these circumstances, those circumstances may be changing, but you still have these incidents where officers are just, going off, and still feeling like they can. Because this cat, from what I understand, he's been on the force for like 24 years. Or
he's been around for a while.
Yeah, so he's been on the force. So he got caught this time. So of course, that's the question that comes to my mind. Like, how many other arrests, how many others, are called into question now because of this? And what you may know better than I, Chief, what happens? Will they go through all of his arrests? I mean, what do they do? Do they go back through his history and say, well, dude, let's go back and look and see who else you locked up under wrong, false pretense?
Well, this certainly was a disturbing scenario, no matter how you look at it. Just from the arrest itself, the brazenness at which this sergeant did this. Now, I look at this from a couple of different lenses. I look at this from, as a citizen, a person that grew up in Baltimore. When you look at the conduct of that guy, now you can't, like you said, you cannot paint all of the officers with that broad brush. That wouldn't be fair, because there are a lot of them out there right now that are doing some incredible work. But when you look at a guy that is a sergeant with 24 years of experience, now he's been in the game for a long time, and he has younger officers, less tenured officers, and rookie officers looking up to him every day to make sure that they're doing the right things at the right times, number one. So that's very critical. And then number two, I'm just very interested in the mindset of someone that knows they have on a body camera. Think about that. I know I have a camera on, yet I'm so offended that this young man had the audacity to tell me something that actually made sense. Do you have to put the guy down on the wet ground like that?
Right.
That wasn't a life-threatening statement. He didn't say, "Oh, to bust you in your head." He just said, "Hey, can you pick the guy up off of the ground so that he's not getting wet?" Which is not an unreasonable thing for a citizen to ask. And he walks away. He didn't try to hinder. He didn't try to get in the way. He just said, "Hey, can you pick him up off the ground?" In essence, and walks away. This guy is so incensed that he asked the other officer, do you have this guy? And then he runs after a guy that's running away and tackles him and arrests him for no reason. That was probably the worst piece of police work I've ever seen in my life. That was just completely ridiculous. And so you're asking me, what is the process now? Well, I'm sure that Commissioner Harrison from Baltimore is doing a couple of things. Obviously, there's an internal investigation going on. The sergeant is suspended, and I believe they suspended him without pay. And he was also charged by the state's attorney. Now, internally, what is going on is that not only are they looking at this whole thing, they're getting statements from people and finding out if there's any more video, and they're looking at all that stuff. But they probably are going to look at his arrests over the years, particularly those arrests involving disorderly conduct and those types of trespass and disorderly conduct, some of those more mundane misdemeanors, to find out if there is a pattern in his probable cause statements, in his report writing, and, other things. that he turns in during the normal course of making an arrest. But this is a very disturbing video, and it just screams of a lot of things. You're wondering about culture. You just wonder about this guy that felt so emboldened. That's what I'm having a problem with. You're so emboldened that you took this type of action knowing that you're wearing a body camera and everyone around you has on a camera. That's pretty frightening.
I mean, do they ever get into situations, like when people are on air and forget that the mic is on? I mean, intellectually, that the mic is on, but you get so heated in a situation that you forget that the mic is on. There's the same situation. I got to assume the same situation happens with these officers. Yeah, they have cameras on, but in the heat of the moment, when you're thinking, however irrationally, or when you're so focused, you forget that the camera is on. So neither way is good. Whether he was so arrogant and brazen that he didn't give a damn that he had a camera on, he figured he was untouchable, and that's that. Then we come right back again to that whole elitist belief that the world is going to bend toward whatever it is that I want, or he's so enraged that he completely forgets that he has the camera on, that he can't believe that this dude is going to come say anything to him or challenge him on his policing. Neither way is good. But I just wonder, do you have situations that, what? Oops, I forgot I had that camera on. He is, he's really, I'm looking at the video now myself. I'm looking back and forth. So this is the first time I've kind of seen the video. And you're right. The guy was, well away from the car. He was walking away. And this dude went and chased him down.
Sure. And
he continues pushing it. And it's crazy.
Yeah. And also, as we get into this, I just want to remind our listeners they can call us at 702-425-7789, 702-425-7789, and join the discussion, or you can chat live with us or text us or however you want to reach us. We certainly want to hear from you. But Thin Bad, I think what you saw there was what we called in the business contempt of cop. It's you haven't done anything wrong. It's just something that the person said just sent the officer over the edge. And, so it's like Hartman used to say, the cartoon character, how dare you, disrespect my authority, And so that's what you had there. And, it's unfortunate that, that young man had to suffer like that, being thrown down in the ground. And here's my other question, too. I certainly think that it was the correct action to suspend the sergeant. But, the other officer that was sitting in the car, he saw that, too. And he heard the comment, right, and he saw that gentleman walking away. So my question is, why did he run out there and knock this guy down so that he could be arrested? They were both right, sitting in the same car, looking in the same direction. But right, and that's a rhetorical question from one sense, then, Bad, because I totally know that sometimes the gang mentality can get to the best of us. And that's probably what happened in this situation. Here's my guy, my partner. He's fighting. He's struggling. I have to get in there and help him out. But, clearly that was not the right thing to do, even to the point where the officers who responded, who weren't in the heat of that moment, were saying, hey, man, calm down.
Right.
When you have a guy that just gets to the scene that's telling you, hey, man, just bring it down to a 10. You're at about a 300 right now. And then you tell the guy to leave the scene. Don't tell me how to do what I'm supposed to do. Well, now, as it turns out, he should have listened to that slick sleeve officer, And, well, he shouldn't have done it in the first place. But clearly he just exacerbated the issue by telling the guy, clear my scene.
Right. Right. Yeah, because now he's got, now he's like, don't you tell me what to do. I mean, dude. Sometimes I would